They use the vocabulary glider in this question, and a glider is just a term people in physics use for some kind of object that slides along a frictionless surface. So very often little, that puck that we used in lab once, which floated on a thin layer of air. Any kind of little hovercraft that really has a low velocity. You could replace this with air hockey puck if you wanted to. So this is a simple question about a air hockey puck or a glider with some mass moving along a frictionless surface. And it has an initial velocity. So that's going to be, I'm going to call this object A, and note that it has an initial velocity. And there's a stationary glider here, and it's stationary, so it doesn't have any initial velocity. And there's going to be contact. It's going to come, bang, it's going to hit this glider. And this glider will certainly move off in this direction afterwards. So this is going to be glider, the velocity of object B. I'm going to call this object A, call this object B. The velocity of this object is going to be more or less depending on their different masses. And this object will have a velocity A after the collision. Initial, I'm going to call this F for final. A final, B final. And we actually don't know which direction velocity A final is going to be. If this is a really heavy object, A will just bounce off. If this is a light object compared to A will just keep plowing forward past this object, and this object will go flying ahead of it. And if they are identical masses, A will come along, hit B, stop dead, and B will continue along with matching the same momentum and velocity as the incoming object. Those equations were covered in class the other day. You better double check this. The two equations you can use describe collisions. Elastic, this is an elastic collision. It says the velocity of the incoming object, its final velocity, is a function of the two masses, mass A plus mass B, mass A minus mass B, compared to its, this equation is in the notes, and the velocity of object B, the target, is this is 2 times mass of A plus mass of B, velocity A, incoming velocity. Now this M here, that would be, if mass of A is huge, this should just be 2. So this is mass of A. All right. If mass of B is much bigger than mass of A, then this is going to have a negative sign, and that implies that the final velocity of the incoming projectile will actually be to the left, and if it's positive, that means it just plows through and keeps going. Notice if mass of A equals mass of B, this is a 0, and this thing's puck A, or glider A, will hit puck B and just stop, and puck B will just scoot. If mass A, this would be 2 over 2, and it'll just continue along with exactly the same velocity as object A had coming in.